Hello and welcome to Aaron's Games. I'm Aaron, let's talk about some games, you know the drill by now, blah 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 blah. This week I'm going to be talking about a classic game which everyone should have heard of. If you haven't heard of this game, where have you been living the last few years? I am of course talking about Monopoly. And this is the Mega Edition, a bigger board, there's more spaces, there's now 3 dark blues instead of 2. You can put railway depots on your railway stations which double the rent even higher, so if you get all of those. You can put skyscrapers, if you have a hotel you can upgrade it to a skyscraper and that makes the rent ridiculous. It's good times. It's bad times. If you value your friendships and your family relationships, then Monopoly is not generally the game to play, but that's what I want to talk about this week. I'm going to talk to you about some underhanded Monopoly tactics that you can use to really piss off your friends when you play with them. You may know some of these already, some of them are famous, maybe you'll learn something new in this video. Let's find out. So the first thing I want to talk about is how to play the game in general, not like roll the dice and you move. Like the basic aim of the game is to buy the property. The reason it's called Monopoly is because you want to get control of as much property as you can, and that forces your friends to pay more and more rent until they go bankrupt and you win, yay! And maybe someone flips a table depending on how they take losing badly. So the idea is you move around the board and you buy property. The first underhanded tactic of the game, which isn't really underhanded because it is literally a big part of the game, is just buy everything that you land on. If you can afford it, buy it. Buy it outright and take control of as much property as you can early doors. I realise that some people use the house rule of having to make your way around the board once. I don't think that's an official rule. You can buy immediately. Make use of that. The next one is buying and blocking colour sets. So, in Monopoly, you can't build houses or hotels, or in this version, skyscrapers, until you own all of the colour sets. And if you do own all of the colour set, you get to double your rent even without having any houses on there. One nifty feature of the Mega Edition, actually, is if you have one below the maximum, you can double your rent. If you have all of a colour set, because some of them now have 4, you can triple the rent without having any houses. That's pretty cool. Sneaky and nasty, but still cool. Obviously you're going to be wanting to aim to get the colour sets as soon as possible, but here's the underhanded bit. You can deliberately buy colour sets that you know other players are chasing. So when I play with my partner, for some reason she likes to get the pinks and the oranges quite early, and I like to make it a mission to go and buy one of those pinks and oranges quite early and just hold on to it. Because if you keep it and don't ever sell it to them, guess what? They can't build any houses. They won't benefit from the rent doubling. They won't benefit from being able to buy any houses, any hotels, any skyscrapers. Yeah, it can get quite tense. Like me and my partner, when we play, we have to kind of, okay, this is the boundaries of Monopoly. What happens in this game stays in this game, because she is fully savage. And I must admit, I'm fully savage as well. We tend to play quite a lot on the PlayStation edition of the game. These tactics do work on that version of the game, so if you have got a PlayStation or Xbox or PC, I think it's on, check out the digital version of Monopoly. It's a lot of fun. I really like it. We really like it. Our relationship is tested. Who doesn't want that? Now we get to the properly sneaky stuff. The next one is one that you can only really do in the board version, and that is hiding your money. Obviously at the start of the game you get 1,500 Monopoly bucks. In the Giant Edition, Mega Edition, you get 2,500 lovely Monopoly monies. A simple way to be nasty. Just hide your money. Don't let anyone see how much you've got. Unfortunately, you can't do that in the computer version because everyone's money totals are on the screen at all times. That actually helps open up some other sneaky tactics. We'll talk about those later. But yeah, if you're playing the board edition of the game, any of the thousands of board editions, special editions, whatever you've got, hide your money. No one can see how much or how little you have. And it will give you just a little advantage and mean that you might defend against some of the tactics we're going to talk about now. The next one is deliberately staying in jail. People who are new to the game won't necessarily know that jail isn't really that bad of a thing. If you get sent to jail, you can't move, you can't buy any property, but because you can't move, you can't land on anyone else's squares. So you're not going to pay rent for those turns, and you can still collect rent. So if someone else lands on one of your squares, you can collect rent. So effectively, it's a few turns where you can still operate you can build houses, you can build hotels, you can do any of that stuff, but you're not going to get stung with a huge unexpected rent bill. It's great. The other sneaky side of it is you can sometimes, depending on what rules you're playing, you can decide to go to jail. So the normal ways you go to jail are if you land on the go to jail space, obviously. If you pick up a go to jail card, do not pass go, do not collect $200 from chance or community chest, or if you roll 3 doubles in a row. Not a lot of people know that that's a rule, but it is a rule. If you roll 3 doubles in a row, you go straight to jail. If you're playing the Mega Edition of the game, you also get a speed dice here. And what this does is there's a bus here which allows you to move around the board in different ways because it's a big board. Look at it. I'll show you the big board. But look how big it is. That's massive. It's great, but it's huge. One of the things you can do with buses is pick a space that you want to move to. Go straight to jail if you feel like it. You can also do that if in some variations of the house rules where if you land on go, you either get double money or you get to go to any space you choose. The double money most of the time is more helpful, let's be honest, but if you want to go to jail, just use that. Go straight to jail, bypass the rent, bypass any chance of landing on any space you don't want to land on, still collect your money, still build your houses, do whatever you like. Pretty sneaky! Okay, this one is pretty nasty and more easy to do in the computer versions of the game than the board versions, but if you're savvy enough, you can definitely do it in the board versions too. When you have an auction, so someone doesn't want to buy a property or they can't afford to buy a property, it goes to auction automatically. Again, that's a rule that a lot of people forget, and certainly I didn't know until recently that it was actually a rule. I thought you could just not buy things and didn't realise it had to go to auction. It's only since playing the computer game that I've learned that. What do you do when you get to auction? Now, if you're being really sneaky, and again in the computer version it's written on the screen, have a look at how much money everyone else has, and you can deliberately price people out of something. So again, particularly on the computer version, you can see specifically how much, but bid just like one over that, and you can knock them out of the auction and deliberately stop someone else from getting a property that you want. That's pretty nasty. The next one, also to do with auctions, is you can deliberately start an auction in order to try and get a property for a sneaky cheaper price than you would have otherwise. Say for example you land on Mayfair, one of the most expensive properties in the game. You might not have enough to afford it, but you can start an auction and you could bid $1. Start the auction from there. Again, you'll have to be careful with other players because they might know that you're low on money and they might try and build the auction up to a price, and you could end up paying more for it than you wanted to in the first place. But again, if you're playing the computer version and you're taking advantage of the very easy AI, you can so easily knock them out of an auction. And if you're playing against one other person in that game, you can just bring that auction just above their threshold and you might get your property for a cheaper price. Another one, this one tends to apply when you're playing against the computer, if they're on easy or very easy mode on the computer editions, but it can also work if you're playing against not so savvy family members, perhaps young children. I play Monopoly with my eldest son sometimes, and he's not so hot on the game, so it's a little bit easy to take advantage of him sometimes. Doing bad trades on purpose, offer a bad deal, deliberately stack the deck. So I've often said to him when we're playing, oh, I'll swap you this for this, and I know I'm getting a much better side of the deal, but he doesn't tend to take that into account. Slowly he's learning because he's playing with an awful dad who's being really underhanded at Monopoly. That's potential. You can take advantage of people if they don't know what they're doing or if they're not keeping 100% of the eye on the ball. It works very well on the computer because if you have the AI set to very easy or easy, you can really lowball them on properties and get them for much cheaper. For example, buying a station costs 200. If they buy it for 200, you can then, the very next turn, go on, make a trade with them and offer them 100 for it, and they might give it to you. Absolute bargain. Take advantage of that while you can. And then the last confirmed one that I want to talk about is deliberately not buying hotels. And again, this is quite well known, I'd say, but when you put it into practice, I'd say this is probably the most infuriating one out of all of them. What you do is you build up a colour set and get ready to build some houses. Now normally when you build a house, obviously you increase the rent: 1 house, 2 house, 3 house, 4 house, then hotel. Here's the sneaky bit. Go all the way up to 4 houses, but stop there. Don't build a hotel. The reason for that is the number of houses that you get in the game is limited. Even on the computer version, there's only a certain number of houses that are available for all the players to use. If you're playing a 6-player game, those houses can run out pretty quick. You've got 12 of them on one set, 12 of them on another set. no one else can get any houses. Certainly they can't get enough houses evenly to build hotels of their own. So what you're doing is restricting other players from being able to get their rents very high. Like I say, I've played this a few times against partner. We're already savage to each other. This is like lighting touch paper. It is evil, but it works. The amount of times that I've stopped her from getting a full, all the way up to like a full hotel on her dangerous green properties and stuff like that, by just keeping hold of those houses. Obviously, when you get to it and you can build up to hotels, there is a huge jump between 4-house and hotel rents. But I think the jump is worth foregoing if you can stop someone else from getting all the houses. Very sneaky, but give it a go. And the last tactic that I want to talk about, which is one that a friend told me about and I've not tried, and so I can't confirm if this works, but he told me that the way he plays Monopoly is he goes around the board, same as everyone, building, buying properties, whatever he lands on. The difference being that as soon as he's bought the property, he mortgages it to get the money back. And just mortgages everything. So in doing that, he's not going to be able to build any houses or hotels, but he's going to lock up the board pretty quick. You'll have more money to spend, be able to bid higher in the auctions, and you just mortgage those and get some more money. Like I said, I haven't tried it. I don't know if it would work. It's an interesting concept, but I don't know how well it would last, because although you get a lot of money, you're then not bringing any money in, and I don't know how long-lasting that tactic might be. But there we are. Some underhanded tactics for Monopoly next time you're playing. If you've played the Mega Edition, you'll know what I mean. It's like another level. As I said, there's the nice enhancements in there to make it a bigger game, and that's really fun. Because I do actually really like Monopoly. It's one of my favourite classic games to play. So if you've learned anything new from this video, I hope you have fun infuriating your friends and family. If you have any other underhanded or sneaky tactics that you use in Monopoly, let me know. I would love to hear what your nefarious plans are. Put a comment below and tell me what you do. And if you have stories of Monopoly games ending particularly badly, I'd love to hear those as well. Because, you know, although we say that what happens in the game stays in the game, it's hard to take that mindset and apply it to, you know, actual real life. So it does sometimes take a little cool down after the game, where we just kind of give each other some space, and yeah. It's a bit long lasting. And that's it for this video. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you learned something. I hope you enjoyed yourself. If you did, press like, leave me a comment, hit subscribe, you know, all the standard YouTube-y things. Follow me on Twitter using the link down here, and if you're not watching this on YouTube, use the link next to it to click through and find me on YouTube, where you can do all of those things like liking, subscribing. There we are. Thanks for watching. I hope you had fun. I certainly did, and I'll see you again soon.